Hello everybody, welcome to today's workshop. Thank you so much for being here today. So just some housekeeping to start with. I've got you all on mute, and if you have a question, you can just post it in the chat box, and then at the end of the PowerPoint presentation, if you would like to ask a question over the microphone, then you can let me know and I'll unmute you. So for now, we're just going to start by chatting in the chat box. So if you can find the chat box, perhaps just confirm that you can hear me in the chat box, and then you'll know where the chat box is, and I will just check that. So if somebody just wants to type in and say hi, then I can see yes, 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 hi. Fantastic. Welcome all of you, glad to have you here. Yes, you can hear me. Can you also confirm that you can see me on video and you can also see my PowerPoint presentation? If you can let me know yes to both. Beautiful. Thank you so much. Okay, so let's dive in. Just so that you know, if you've got your video on, people can see you. Completely up to you whether you want the video on or not. So you can shut your video down if you prefer. That's completely up to you. So why am I running a workshop with such a cheeky name like Will You Be Fitter or Fatter following COVID-19? It's actually come about from people jokingly saying to me, even writing it on their coaching forms, I just hope that I can come out of this fitter, not fatter. So I really have just taken that straight from my clients' mouths. But of course, it's so much more than that. There is a great opportunity for us here, and that's what I wanted to talk to you all about. But also to make sure that we don't just stuff ourselves with food and alcohol over the next who knows how long. So I have taken this cute photograph from Simone Albert from her Instagram account, and I thought it was very amusing. So if you can't read the print there, the fine print, it says day 5 hair, what day is it, wine at 2 p.m, Dorito stains. But I think it kind of sums up how maybe some of us can be feeling some of the time. So some of you may relate to some of this, and some of you may be able to really relate to all of it. So I'm going to get you to really participate in the chat box with me so that I can get your feedback and know where you're coming from. I've received one question from somebody who couldn't attend that I'll answer at the end, but please feel free to ask questions as we go along, and I'll come back to those. So the first thing I want to ask you is this: what if you could walk out of this isolation period as a new, improved you, inside, most importantly, and out? Because our outside appearance is really just a reflection of what's going on in the inside, both from a health point of view, but also from a mind, thinking, feeling, spiritual point of view. So I would love you to pop a yes in the chat box if your answer is yes to this, if you'd like to come out of all of this as the new, improved you. So let's have a look at the chat box and see if there's any yeses coming in. Yes, Lisa, Carissa, Ben, yes, yes, wonderful, good. So my next question is this: would you love to trust that this whole coronavirus thing is for you and everyone else, and everything is not only going to be okay, but better? Who would say yes to that? Or any other comment that you might have about that? It might feel too good to be true, but I'd love to see what you think about this question and whether that's a yes for you. Yes, definitely. Yes, so a yes from everyone on that one, and a let's hope so from somebody. Yeah, okay, great. Okay, hope is good. Hope is good. Rianne, yes, I feel it's a time to reflect and focus. Yeah, I agree. Brilliant. All right, so that's what this is about. So you're in the right place if this interests you, because that's really what we're going to focus on today. So this is what I think is really going on. I always put meaning into things. I don't think that life is random. So if you think life is random, then bear with me, because I'm coming from a place of thinking that everything has meaning. And so I think that this is what's going on at the moment, is that we do have an opportunity to grow. So let's start with your behaviours. And this is where you get to be vulnerable and share. So you can share in the chat box what I'd love you to do is put the number in the chat box. So if I put something on this page here and it's something that you're doing, I'd love you to be vulnerable and put that number in the chat box. So number 1 is eating more often. So if you think you're eating more often at the moment, put a number 1 in the chat box. Number 2 is eating past full. So you're already satisfied or full from the food that you're eating, but you keep eating. So give me a number 2 if you're doing that one. Eating comfort food. So grabbing that food that you know probably isn't the most healthy food, maybe chocolate, maybe cookies, maybe pudding or cake or baking, whatever it may be. Give me a number 3. Number 4, eating what your kids are eating. So I've had this discussion with a couple of mums. My kids love baking and they've got a lot of time at the moment while they're home to bake. And so, of course, it's very tempting when you wouldn't normally have those foods around and suddenly you come out and in the kitchen there are fresh brownies. So I'm just going to go in and see what the popular numbers are. So lots of 4s, 3s. Who's putting down everything? Lots of 3s, a couple of 2s and a couple of 1s. Okay, yeah, interesting. So some of it's about what we're actually eating. And then number 5, eating when you're not hungry. Give me a number 5 if you find yourself eating but you're not hungry. And number 6, if you're eating while watching TV, scrolling through social media, or Zoom socializing, which is the new way that we socialize. So if you're doing those, give me a 6. Number 7, eating with alcohol. So once you start to have a drink, then you look for the salty, perhaps, to go with the alcohol. And number 8, eating with a hangover. So you've been drinking the night before, the next day you're reaching for the food because you're feeling the effects of the alcohol from the night before. Give me a number 8. And number 9, eating when you feel a negative emotion. So if this is you and you notice that you feel something irritates you or you feel something that doesn't feel comfortable in your body and then you grab for food. Number 10, so we're going on a different tangent now, away from the food, more to the alcohol. Who here is drinking more often than they normally would? It kind of feels like holidays, so maybe you normally drink on the weekends, now you're starting to drink during the week. Give me a number 10. Oh, that should be number 11. Number 11 is drinking more. And number 12 is starting to drink earlier in the day. So let me know what's happening with your drinking patterns as well. And I'll just check in. Yes, we've got 11s and 12s, even though I've made that really confusing. So that is either drinking more or drinking more often, 10 and 11. Yeah, brilliant. Thanks very much for sharing. So what have I missed? Has anybody else got a behaviour that I didn't include? If you can share in the chat box, if there's something that you're doing around food or alcohol that you think is related, that you're doing. Smoking. Okay, thank you. Thank you for sharing. And bored is another reason for eating, boredom eating. Yes, absolutely. Thank you very much for sharing those. Biscuit with a cuppa, coffee. Okay, that's another thing that you can drink more of. Karina, I'm actually eating healthier and walking. Brilliant, brilliant. So let's have a look at what you're feeling now. So these are some of the emotions that people have shared with me. There are going to be lots of other ones, but let's start with these. And if you can share the number in the box, if you can relate to the emotions that come up on the slide here. So anxious. Now this doesn't mean you're feeling anxious all the time, but have you felt the emotion of anxiety? I have felt this over this period of time. Give me a number 1 in the chat box if you ever feel anxious. Number 2, uncertain. Give me a number 2. Number 3, bored. We know people feeling bored because you're eating out of boredom. Number 4, frustrated. Number 5, annoyed. Number 6, lost. Number 7, confused. Number 8, scattered. Number 9, unorganised. Number 10, tired. Number 11, achy or sore. Is anybody having aches or pains in their body or headaches or any sort of soreness, any sort of physical pain? Restless. Number 13, irritable. And number 14, reactive. So keep putting in the numbers. If anybody has experienced all of them, please just write all of the above in the chat box. And then if there is something I haven't thought of that you've been feeling, then I'd love you to include that in the chat box as well. So I'm just going to go in and have a look and see what everybody is feeling. So 12, 13, 14. Lisa, 4, 5, 10 and 14. 14, 14, 13. Lots of 13s, 11, 8, 8 and 9. In my neck. Yep, stiff in the neck. Good. 11, 8, 7 and 8, 10, 9, 10, 4, 8, 1, 6. I think we've covered all of them. Brilliant. Is there anything I've missed? Is anybody feeling something different to any of those emotions that we've been through? Lonely. Yeah. That's a really good one, Rachel. True. Lonely, because we're just not seeing the same amount of people we normally would. Okay. So let's talk about why you are feeling this way. This is my opinion. I think that this is a global wake-up call to wake up and honour ourselves, to honour each other, and to honour our planet. So that's just my point of view, but if anybody can resonate with that and think that that might be what's happening as well, then I'd love to hear your thoughts on that. So that's what I think this is all about. So how do we wake up, and how is this related to the feelings that we're having and the behaviours that we have? So when we wake up, we first have to fall asleep. Otherwise, there's nothing to wake up from. So if you think of the very practical point of view, if you sleep overnight, you wake up in the morning and you change your state. So you needed to be asleep in the first place. So I believe that before we arrived on this planet, we knew that we were creative souls or spirits, part of the all that is, and you can use any word that resonates with you about what that is. And we chose to come here and experience ourselves as that. But I also believe that to truly experience that, first we had to forget it. And that was us being asleep. Now, being asleep on a personal level can look like this. We're asleep when we act on autopilot. So we're going about our day, we're doing what we've always done. So if you have a look at what's just happened at the moment, I know for some of you, particularly farmers, it's business as usual. And for me, it's business as usual as well, because my business is online, so I'm still working from home. But it has changed because the rest of the family is home, so it's not completely the same as normal. So you can see how there is a shift because some things have been taken out of our control, and so we can't keep doing things exactly the way we always have. We react to the same triggers in the same way. Who can relate to that? Put a me in the chat box if you can relate to that statement, reacting to the same triggers in the same way. This is how we live when we're asleep or on autopilot, is something happens and we react to it in a certain way, pretty much predictable like Groundhog Day. So I'm just opening up the chat. Me, Danae, Lee, Rachel, Harvest Wealth, not sure exactly who that is. You'll have to put your name in the box. Let me know. Carissa, Sally, Angela. Yeah, so everybody can relate to that. So the other thing that happens when we're asleep is we do things based on a very primate level. And so if you think about what we've been asked to do, we've been asked to stay home. And what that feels like for the primate part of our brain is that we're hibernating. And so what does a bear do when a bear hibernates? The bear stocks up. So the bear has eaten lots of food, got as fat as the bear can, and now he can crawl into his cave and he can just keep himself warm for the winter and see the winter out. Now, for us here in Australia, it is coming into autumn, but for many people around the world, it's actually coming into summer. So we have triggered a response that is very, very primate when we're not conscious, which is that hibernating behaviour. So if any of you feel like you're acting like bears at the moment, this is because we're not conscious enough. If we stay unconscious or asleep, then we're going to just react from a primate level, and we're going to fatten up literally to protect ourselves from the cold and to last out the winter when there's not as much food. neither of these things are really real for us right now. Emotional eating. I loved this. I found this from Healthy Eaten. So emotional eating comes from, I'm happy, I'm hormonal, I hate him, it's my birthday, it's Monday, I'm drunk. So some of you might be able to relate to this at the moment, where you're just reaching for food because you feel a certain emotion. So when we're asleep on a personal level, we also think that we're less than whole. And so when we feel like we're less than whole, we reach for something outside of ourselves to make ourselves feel whole. Now, from a very physical point of view, that can feel like an emptiness. So the analogy is that there's something missing. And so we literally try to fill it up by pushing some food down into that empty feeling. My mum, when her brother died, he was 21 and he died of leukemia, and she shared with me that she just suffered so much grief that she used to stand at the bench in the kitchen and eat white bread on its own, just straight out of the packet. And obviously it had nothing to do with the taste, there wasn't anything on it, but it was like she was trying to shove it down on top of that grief and fill up that gap. When we're asleep, we believe that we need to achieve something, get something, or do something, or be different than we are to be recognised, accepted, and loved. So this is the asleep part, and this is what we're going to be waking up from as a part of what's going on at the moment. We've forgotten who we are when we look for a feeling of completeness from outside of ourselves. Now, if we look at what's going on when we're asleep on a collective level, you only have to look at the state of the world and already the shifts that we're seeing. So we're all asleep when we are destroying our planet in exchange for having more. When we're discriminating based on race, gender, sexuality, income, physical appearance, physical ability, and belief systems. So this is what we're doing collectively at a global level. And already you will have seen the reports of satellite pictures showing that you can now see the Earth where before you could see a film of pollution. So we're starting to change these things. I have also witnessed a sense of oneness with regards to the way that we feel separate to other people, because this virus does not discriminate. So you would know that Boris Johnson is very sick with the coronavirus. So you can be the Prime Minister and you can still get the coronavirus. So it doesn't matter how rich you are, how powerful you are, what colour you are, what religion you have, you are still exposed to this. And so this is bringing us closer together where we can have empathy and compassion for each other. And you've probably seen this meme. I thought it was very funny, kind of feeling like the earth just sent us all to our rooms to think about what we've done. So when we've sent to our room and we're there to think about what we've done, sometimes we want to avoid that like the plague. We don't want to think about it. We don't want to bring up those past emotions. And so we do whatever we can to avoid it. So how do we wake up? To wake up and remember the truth of who we are and experience it, we first have to let go of our past hurts. So this is the bit that's feeling a bit uncomfortable if you recognise some of those emotions that I shared. Blocked energy is emotions that we've pushed down because we weren't allowed to express them. So on our call in Unlimited Joy earlier this morning, one of the ladies was sharing that she feels like all of her past is coming up, all of these past hurts, and she just was crying for no particular reason. This is because when we're young and we feel an emotion, quite often we're not allowed to express it, so we push it down. All of us hold on to this at varying degrees, and that's what's coming up at the moment, which is why we can be feeling quite unsettled, easily triggered, and out of sorts, because this is the first step to waking up, is actually allowing this stuff to come up so that we can clear it and detox it. So that's why you're triggered. That's what's coming up. So what do we do when emotions come up? So I'd love to know what you guys are doing when you're feeling these emotions. So these are some of the things that might be happening. It feels uncomfortable, so we push them back down with food. Can anybody relate to that? Give me a yes in the chat box if you can relate to feeling a feeling. It doesn't feel good, and next thing you find yourself putting some food in the mouth and push that emotion back down. Just last week, I got a headache. So one of the symptoms that people are getting at the moment because of this detoxing process is headaches. And this is a really good sign because it means we're shifting the old. But if you're not awake and aware of it, you can feel like it's bad. So my limiting belief system has me being in the past a perfectionist. So I even beat myself up when I get a headache, like it's my fault and somehow I'm a failure for having a headache. So instead of, doing what I needed to do, which was drink lots of water and go to bed, I found myself sitting at the counter with a packet of brown rice crackers, really exciting, and just eating them completely unconsciously, I kind of woke up to it as I was doing it. And I know that it was an uncomfortable feeling. I got the headache, then I beat myself up about it. It felt negative. And so my go-to, my ingrained conditioned behavior was to just push the feeling back down rather than allowing myself to feel it. Or you might numb it with alcohol. So give me an A in the chat box if you would numb it with alcohol. There seems to be two groups. Some people do both. I don't drink, so I go for the food. But some people don't use the food so much and go for the alcohol. So let me know if you're a yes for food or an A for alcohol. Yeah, please, an A for alcohol. And give me a both if you do both. So some people will do the food, yeah. And Annabelle does both, food and alcohol. And like we said before, sometimes they go hand in hand too. Once you start drinking, there's certain food, like a good old cheese platter, that goes really well with the alcohol. Or yell at your family. Who does that? So you may not want to admit this one. That's absolutely fine. But I think we all do it. So I can see some giggles from the people who have got their videos on. I think we all do it. And so we get triggered and so we crack it. Crack the shits, have a little tantrum. So, and often it doesn't really have anything to do with the people in the room. It is our stuff coming up. So it's really important for us to become aware of that. So now let's move on to what we can do differently so that we can make this a harmonious time home with our family and for our bodies and for our health and for ourselves. So the first thing that I would suggest is that when the emotion comes up, it's a negative emotion. So you feel a negative emotion and you notice the feeling. Who would agree, write the word head in the chat box. Who lives in their head? Thinking, overthinking, stewing, just always in your head. Yeah, seeing lots of people head. So come out of your head and become aware by putting your attention in your body so that you can feel the feeling. Notice what the feeling is. So it might be a tightness in your neck. It might be that kind of sick feeling in your stomach. It might be like an unsettled feeling, and just notice it. And then this next thing is really counterintuitive because we have been conditioned to not allow ourselves to feel things, particularly for the blokes. So there's this whole thing about boys don't cry, suck it up, be tough, all of that sort of thing. Girls get it to an extent, but I think boys get it even harder as they're growing up. So this feels counterintuitive. Allow yourself to feel it. Just feel it. It's a feeling. It's okay. It's actually not going to kill you. We're so afraid of feelings. And then breathe through it. One of the girls on Unlimited Joy today said that if she breathes too deeply, it actually makes her panic. So just be very aware of what a shallow breather you might already be. So if you've been anxious for a while, quite often you've got into the habit of breathing in the chest and you're not used to breathing deep into the lungs and using the whole lung capacity. So don't overdo it and hyperventilate. So just notice your breath rather than exaggerating your breath so that you can just allow yourself to feel it. And then I really encourage you to journal about it. So if you don't have a journal, you can just get a notebook or whatever it may be and just write, just see what comes up and just explain what the feeling is. Keep writing, see what else comes up. If this is really foreign to you and you've never done anything like this before, give it a go. If you don't like writing, then you can just use the voice recorder on your phone, go into a private place and just talk very honestly to your phone and you might not want to play it back straight away. It might feel too painful to hear it back, but you've got that recording for later if you do want to play it back to yourself. And get into nature. Now, the reason that I've posted this is some people will watch this recording who live in other countries, and I really feel for you because I know some of you are in apartment rooms and you may not have even a view of greenery. We are so blessed here in Australia. For you, the farmers, you can just walk out your back door and you can just be in touch with nature. I live near the beach. We're still allowed to go for walks down the beach. I'm very, very blessed. It's very, very powerful for you to get back in touch with nature. So the frequency and the vibration of nature is very, very healing. So if you are in an apartment, look out the window if you can see greenery. Hopefully you've got some plants inside the house. If you haven't got any of those things, I don't know if you've ever been to the dentist where you're lying on the dentist chair and you look up at the ceiling and they've got this beautiful PowerPoint presentation of all these gorgeous photos of nature. So very, very important to really tune into that vibration of Mother Earth. So I'm just going to see what all the chats are about. Lee, so grateful to live right near the beach at this time. So very grateful. So amazing. I feel like that as well. It's just incredible to be able to tap into that right now. So what else can you do? Well, yoga stretches are really powerful at the moment. So for those of you who have just joined us, we're talking about the energy that is coming up at the moment, and it's our blocked trauma or past hurts, old emotions that are pushed down. We don't need to analyze them. We can just allow the emotions to come up, feel the discomfort and just let it go. So the yin poses, you can Google this to find yin poses, are the poses that you relax into for a few minutes. So you don't go to the point where it's really painful, but you go to the point where you feel a little bit of tension, because we hold down blocked emotions in the soft tissue of our body. And so when you get into these poses in a comfortable way so that you're not hurting any of your joints, that's the old physiotherapist coming out in me, just so that it's a gentle stretch and you breathe through that, you will find that it starts to let go. And what will happen is it'll start to release this blockage and there will be a detox approach. So it's very important to be drinking lots of water. I've got my lemon water here, so lots of lemon water at the moment, herbal teas, so that you can let this all go. Exercise is really important. That's why most countries are saying that you're not allowed out unless you're exercising. So whatever exercise you can do, if you can get outside, that is the best. So honour the social distancing, but get outside, get the fresh air. Even if you can't go to a beach, if you're walking in an area where there's trees, you've even got the sky and the clouds. That's nature. So get outside in fresh air. If you do have to exercise inside, then fantastic, do that as well. But that's going to really help you to release this and move it out of your system. Share with someone. So what I have found through this coaching that I'm doing with people is that a lot of the shifts, a lot of the healing, the waking up process occurs through being vulnerable, saying things that you've never said before. They've been stuck in your head. You think you're kind of crazy because you think them, and you think there's probably not another person out there that's ever thought that crazy thought. What happens when you share it in a safe environment is that you realize you're not the only one, that there are a lot of other people that feel the same way as you. This is how we're going to become more connected, is by being vulnerable and sharing with someone. Sometimes it can't be the people who are in your life. So the beauty of, for example, Unlimited Joy and Soul Pleaser for Men is that people can come in and share with people who they don't know, but are in there for the same reasons. And so we have that in common, and we have that empathy for each other. So we can really relate to what people are saying. So this is really important if you've got somebody that you can be vulnerable with and tell them how you're feeling. Meditate. So I would love you to put me in the chat box if you have never meditated before, just so I know whether I'm talking to a group full of meditators or whether I'm talking to complete newbies. So we've got one person who has put something in there. Ben hasn't meditated before. Lisa. Yep. Okay, great. So we've got a couple. So Nalin hasn't? Great. All right, so I will touch on meditation. Recently started thanks to you, Sabrina, but I'm a newbie. So I'm just going to touch on this because I know a lot of you meditate every day, and particularly the girls who are my clients and the men who are my clients are meditating. Meditation is going to fast track what you're going through. So if you feel like, oh, could I just get all this stuff out and feel better already, then meditation is one of the ways for us to tune into that vibration so that we can move through this and go through the waking up process and get to the other side where we feel really amazing. So meditation has a lot of connotations around it that makes people think that it's for certain people. Some people believe that it's related to religion and it can be used for that way. Some people think that, it's for hippies. Whatever you may think about meditation, to simplify meditation, the way that yoga came about was to improve our posture so that we could sit up and meditate. And meditation really allows you to be still. And if you think about the correlation between meditation and what we're going through right now and why we feel so agitated, is being sent home to think about what we've done, we have been given the opportunity to be still. And I know Carissa's on the call and she won't mind me sharing. She's very, very open about this. But one of the first things she said once she had to go home and close her OT business was, do I find something else to do? She just had all these ideas of replacing the doing with more doing. So hands up or I, let's do an I in the chat box. If you're addicted to doing, are there any doing addicts in the group? I'm definitely reforming. Well, what would you say? In remission? Have my moments? So let's have a look at the I's. I with exclamation marks. Reform doer. Kim's a reform doer. Yeah. So we're addicted to doing. And the reason that we do that is because we avoid the stillness, because the stillness will allow space for us to feel. But we've learnt already that feeling is good, and there is some great joy on the other side of just allowing those feelings to come up. So meditation is stillness. You don't have to go from 0 to 20 minutes or even 0 to 10 minutes if you've never meditated before. You can become still for a couple of breaths and you will get the effect of meditation. In fact, if you were to do that every hour throughout the day, it could be as effective, if not more effective, of a 20-minute meditation session in the morning. So just gradually build on the time where you sit comfortably or you lie down comfortably and you just be. You will notice that your mind wanders and then you bring it back to something you can focus on. So it might be your breath, for example. It might be a sound that you can hear if it's repetitive. For example, if the ceiling fan makes a little bit of a noise, you might just notice that little noise. Or you might say a mantra just gently over and over again in your mind, like om, om, om. And you just hear that sound. So see what works for you. Another one that works is just becoming very aware of your body. I like to focus all of my attention into my hands and I feel the life force or electricity in my hands. And I just feel amazing when I do that, but I've been doing it for a long time. So don't judge yourself about this. The problem people have with meditation is we're so used to being good at something that we think that we can be good at meditation, and it's just not like that. You're either meditating or you're not meditating, and if you're sitting there with the intention of meditating, you are meditating. You can't get it wrong. So that's probably why people struggle with it sometimes. Yeah, Leah likes that too. Yeah, thanks, Leah. Okay, so what else can we do? Drink lemon water. So I've already mentioned that. Really important for you to be drinking lots of water so that you can detox these emotions that are coming up. So why bother changing the behaviour? So the first thing is, the reason I ask this question, for any of you that work with me, you will know that you are not going to change a habit unless you have a strong enough why. It has to mean something to you. It has to bring up an emotion. Otherwise, you're going to try to push yourself to do something different and you will just fall off the wagon and go back to your comfort zone. So the why needs to be strong, and it needs to be strong for you. It doesn't matter why I do it. It only matters why it is important for you. So I would love you to share in the chat box why it is important for you to change the behaviour. So share in the chat box, and in the meantime, I'll just answer this question this way. So this behaviour, whether it's eating too much or drinking too much, doesn't allow you to release the old emotion, so it keeps coming up until you do. Now, if I don't know if that's not a big enough why, I don't know what is. Like, if you like being triggered, then just keep doing what you're doing and just keep being triggered. But if you're not enjoying that, then you might think, okay, this is a big enough why. I'm going to stop pushing this down because I don't want to continue to be triggered. I want to change this behaviour. So that is one reason for you to change this behaviour. The second reason, which comes down to our biology, is the behaviour, whether it be eating certain foods or too much of certain foods, which really makes our energy very heavy, physically at a chemistry level causes more stress. So then we have a vicious cycle. We feel stressful emotions, so we eat or drink. The food or the alcohol causes our chemistry to change to make us feel more stressed. So you know that old saying, I have a smoke because it calms me down? It doesn't. It actually increases the cortisol, increases all the hormones that are going to make you more stressed. So we're actually putting fuel to the fire with these behaviours. So I'm just going to check in here for the chat box and look at everybody's why. These are really nice. Thank you. Why lemon water and not just water? So there's a detoxing property in the nature of the water. So water is really good as well. So if not lemon water, just water. Rachel is struggling with what her why is. So let me know, Rachel, if what I've explained has helped, and I'll go into more details about that as well. Karina, I never move forward is a good why. Angela, to stay fit and healthy is why, so I don't get ill. Perfect. Leah, to be an example for my children. My name is Megan. Leah is my daughter. Sorry, Megan. Carissa, to make choices for myself, not others. Yeah, exactly. That's a good one, Carissa, because that's what we do. O'Brien, so the family name I've got there. Healthy for a long life to be around for my kids. Absolutely. Lucy, old habit. Health is my why. Yeah, absolutely. Feels so good to be healthy. Sabrina, to look after myself, my body, my health. Lime or lemon, exactly. Leah. And then, good example for my children, perfect. Don't ever want to go back to how I used to be. Lee, yeah. Lee was at our retreat. Lee's feeling amazing. So, yeah, good girl. So let's have a look a bit more about this chemistry so you can see what's going on. So an alkaline environment is our natural environment. So before we were born, well, actually, probably before we were conceived, because when we were born, we were starting to get impact from our mother's diet. But before we added anything to it, our natural environment is alkaline. And when we have an alkaline system in our body, we feel calm. So this is an awakened state. We are going to get to the awakened state more easily when we have an alkaline environment in our chemistry. An acidic environment in your body causes you to feel stressed. So that's the vicious cycle. Feel stressed, reach for acidic food, feel more stressed, and then we just get on that bandwagon. And I know for some of the people who I work with who have experienced depression, they know that alcohol is not good for them, but they find that when they're feeling really bad, that's exactly what they reach for. So it becomes a really vicious cycle and quite addictive. So this causes you to eat or drink more stress-inducing substances. So you're on the wheel. So these are the symptoms of excess acidity. So if you have any of these and you feel like it's okay to share, you don't have to, it's completely up to you. But if you can relate to any of these and you'd like to share, please feel free. Low energy. So if anybody feels low energy, this could be a symptom of excess acidity. Excess mucus production. So obviously this is something we do not want. If we're going to pick up the coronavirus, we don't want to have excess mucus production in the first place, or nasal congestion. So none of these things are going to help us to flush the virus out and become well again. Frequent colds, flus and infections. So of course the coronavirus is a version of a virus, of a flu, And so if we have excess acidity, then we increase our propensity for that. So we want to make sure that we have an alkaline system. It causes us to be nervous, stressed, irritable, anxious, and agitated. And I think everybody has felt some of that at some point. It can also cause weak nails, dry hair, and dry skin, and formation of cysts, headaches. I've definitely had some headaches come up, joint pain or arthritis, neuritis, muscle pain, hives, leg cramps and spasms, gastritis, and acid indigestion. So some of these things might be related to that. So for us to be in an alkaline state, we want our pH to sit between 7.36 to 7.44. Now, you don't need to all rush off and get your pH tested, but what you can do is just understand the balance that you want to get in your diet. So this is not cutting out these foods altogether. It's having 75% of your food alkaline and 25% of your food acidic. And what you will notice on the acidic side is the sugar and the alcohol, which might be the comfort food or perhaps the cereal grains. So we tend to go, for the bread, for the sugar, for the alcohol, and they're the things that will make us more acidic. So if you have any questions about that, I've given you a website there. When I send through the recording to you all, I'll include that link so that you can get more details about how you can have an alkaline system. But again, it's not all or nothing. It's not just alkaline foods. It's having that nice balance. So takeaways from today. The first thing that I want you to know is you're not the only one. So what you're feeling is real. I had 150 people register for this workshop today, which means that it's relevant to everyone. So you're not alone. We're being called on a global scale to wake up. This is an amazing opportunity if you see it as that way. And if you're the one that's going to prepare yourself, do the work on yourself so that you can come out of this feeling better on the other end. And to do so, we have to let go of our push down emotions from the past. So this is what causes the behaviour and it causes these feelings, and it's okay to feel them. So that's why we feel triggered. And it might be why we're reaching for food or alcohol. So instead of focusing on what you should give up, I find that diets don't work because it feels like we're depriving ourselves. So our whole focus is on the thing that we want to stop. So for those of you who have been taught how to manifest, you would have been taught, for example, that you focus on what you want and you don't focus on what you don't want. So what we do when we go on a diet, for example, or we try to restrict ourselves, is we go, I can't have a glass of wine. So what we're actually focusing on is the glass of wine. So instead of focusing your energy on the thing that you're going to cut back on, what I would focus on is what you're going to add into your life. So it's how can I enhance my life? So what I'd love you to share in the chat box is your commitment to one new life-enhancing habit, or maybe it's one that you're doing a little bit, but it might be falling off a little bit. So maybe you're going to meditate more. Maybe you're going to drink more water. Maybe you're going to have one more piece of fruit per day. But make a commitment of something that you're going to do more of so that you're adding in the good rather than putting all the focus on what it is that you're going to give up, because that will feel like you're missing out and you're depriving yourself, and it's hard to stick at that. So for example, if you feel like a wine, you might go for a walk. So the first thought is, I feel like a wine. So instead you might go for a walk, or you might make a green smoothie, or you might say to your family, hey, let's sit down and play a game of cards. If you feel like yelling at your family, you might ask for some time out and go and write in your journal and actually explore those feelings rather than shouting. It doesn't mean that you don't necessarily have a conversation to have. There might be some truth that you want to share with a family member, but instead of acting out from that emotion, you actually go deal with the emotion, and then from that, at a quiet time when you're feeling good, you might be able to share what it is that you would really like to talk about with that person. You might want them to watch this as well, for example, so they know that it's coming. So I'm just going to have a look at what people are going to add in, because we want to really celebrate this, and we want to be here for you to really encourage you to add in these wonderful new habits that you're going to add. So, Harvest Wealth essay. Oh, Cheryl, hi Cheryl. Do you have coffee? I don't, no. So I'm not perfect, everybody, I promise, at all. I don't have coffee because it increases my heart rate. So physically, my body doesn't do well with coffee. So a treat for me would be a decaffeinated almond milk latte, but I haven't been having those because I'm at home. So I'm drinking lots of herbal tea. Lisa, drink more water. Lucy, bath and meditate. Bath. Bath is a great one as well, everybody. Magnesium bath, so you know the Epsom salts is also going to really help clear, so make sure you drink that water. So Lucy's going to do that instead of a glass of wine. Go Lucy, that's great. Karina, more fruit and walking plus meditate more. Carissa, lemon in the water. Danae, exercise each day. Kim, daily yoga. Rianne's going to add lemon to her water. Leonie, meditate more. Sabrina, meditate more. Rachel, meditate daily, once with the kids and once longer alone. Great, Rachel. Angela, drink more water with lemon in it. And Lee, start meditating again and more water. Julie, more exercise, yoga. Ingrid, meditate. O'Brien, sorry, I don't have your first name, more water. Lisa, go for a walk. Ben, more water. Explore yoga or meditate. Great, thanks Ben. Lucy, that would make me want wine games with the boys. If you play a game, yeah, exactly. Sally, more water. We have been making cold tea herbal. Yeah, beautiful, great idea. Annabelle, daily exercise and meditation. Megan, consistency. Yes. So sometimes to get consistency, you just need little reminders. So if you're not used to being consistent with things, then you can join a group where there's accountability. In the Soul Pleaser group, which is my free group on Facebook, it used to be only open to women. The men are coming in. I didn't know that men wanted to hear about soul pleasing, so now they're in there. And we are at the moment going through a 21-day meditation challenge. We're following the Deepak and Oprah series. So you're very welcome to request to join and join in with that meditation challenge. So they're all fantastic ideas, guys. It's very exciting. So wake up and make a conscious choice rather than your unconscious choice. So this is the trick, is that when we're unconsciously doing that thing, opening the fridge, and then we just grab the chocolate and we tend to sort of stuff it in quickly while we're unconscious, in that moment, you can choose to wake up and make a conscious choice. Now, in that moment, when you're conscious, the choice is yours. You might still have the chocolate. But if you are conscious, you're less likely to have the whole bag. So if you consciously have one piece and you're very awake and you really taste it, we did this at the retreat, some of the girls from the retreat are on here, we consciously ate and we loved the taste of the food, and we all ate about half as much as what we normally would eat. For two reasons. We were consciously eating, but the food was alkaline, it was live, it was organic, and it was full of high vibration energy. And so we felt so sustained from it that we needed less. When you eat rubbish, you need a lot of it. It doesn't fill you up, it doesn't fulfill you, it doesn't sustain you. So become very conscious, make your choice from that place. Don't beat yourself up. Don't make choices right or wrong. Make the choice from a conscious place, and then you own the choice rather than being asleep when you do it. By understanding that this uncomfortable shift is good for you, you can embrace it and make this isolation time your own home retreat. So if you're going to have a home retreat, these are some things that you might like to schedule so that you become consistent. If you are not doing anything, I would not recommend you scheduling lots of things. I would recommend you start with one. So start with one and gradually build on it. Meditation and exercise, conscious eating of health-enhancing foods, uplifting reading. So switch the news off, know what you need to know, then switch it off and reach for that book that makes you feel amazing. Journaling, connecting with your loved ones, truly connecting to them, look them in the eyes, ask them how they feel, and just don't cohabitate with them, but really, really connect with them. and clean out clutter in your house. So just have that sense of a fresh new start, a new life and a new home. And helping someone else. I find that if I'm ever feeling agitated or not myself, I'm like, who can I help? And I would just receive a message. So I don't even have to ring anyone. Someone will message me and book in a call with me, or there'll be someone that I can help. So just start your day with that. Who can I help today? And we take that focus away from ourselves and we really feel better. Now, praying might not be the word that resonates with you, but meditate on healing for those who are sick. It is so powerful. There was a meditation done on Saturday US time, Sunday Australian time, where they had over 1 million people around the world meditating at the same time for the healing of the coronavirus. Such a powerful energy. So there has been quite an energetic shift in relation to that, which is also part of the reason that we're feeling the way that we are with this surge of energy. And call a friend. This is a really great time to just have a chat with people. And sing and dance. If you love singing and you love dancing, I highly, highly recommend it. Makes you feel amazing. Do it in front of your kids. Do it with all your favourite songs, because they will laugh their heads off at you. Or maybe that's just me. Maybe I'm a very bad singer and a bad dancer, but they think it's very, very hilarious when I sing and dance. And raise your vibration. So to raise your vibration, do something that feels good. So reach for your bliss, reach for your joy, and raise your vibration. It's the high vibration of the human race that will heal this virus and the world. So what you do as an individual counts. So there are more free resources on my website. So you can go to tracyseacon.com and I've got blogs and things that you can download on there. But while you pop your questions in the chat box, if you have any, I just want to go to Martin's question. He has sent it through to me via email because he couldn't be here. Martin, if you are here, just let me know in the chat box. Otherwise, I will read your question from here. Okay. So my heart goes out to you, Martin, I just want to say. And what he says in his letter to me: I am dealing with some major personal issues, having lost my wife 3 weeks ago. Been on the farm in a house on my own. Very easy to overuse alcohol. Very aware of this and have no intention of becoming an alcoholic. Any tips for someone who's probably had more alcohol every evening than he should have throughout his life in the first place? The last 6 years, I've been doing a lot more running, biking and swimming. Unfortunately, cannot focus on these things due to damaged tendons in my foot. So Martin, first of all, everybody is sending their love to you, not just me, but in this chat box, we're all sending our love to you. There's 32 of us here. Really thinking of you, you're in our hearts. And just do some gentle movement that doesn't aggravate the tendon in your ankle. The lemon water, the meditating, a gratitude journal, and talking to your wife. So communicating with her because she is still with you, so that you get that comfort from her. But absolutely reach out to friends. Please don't ever feel like it's too much for them, for you to reach out. I know some people sometimes don't know what to say when somebody's lost someone, and they would love you to reach out just so that you can have a chat and you can have more company so that you're not lonely. And when you go for that wine, maybe you can just even start by delaying it and do one of the things that we've talked about on this training instead of doing that. The other problem that Martin's having is falling asleep at night. So the alkaline way of eating will help with the calmness and it will help with the sleep. Also, I recommend an app called Insight Timer, and I'll send this resource with the recording as well, so that you can log into Insight Timer and listen to a sleep meditation. Yoga Nidra is a fantastic sleep meditation. It works every time for me. Persevere with it if it doesn't straight away, but it's full body relaxation. I usually fall asleep in the middle of it, so I hope that helps, and thank you so much for your letter. So lots and lots of love coming from everyone to Martin. I might send the chat to Martin if you all give me permission to do that. Does anybody else have any questions. Annabelle's made a great recommendation. Anyone with kids, watch Dance Mode episode of Bluey. The kids put us in dance mode and it's so great. So fun. My niece has been doing all of those dance games, and my sister sends me videos, so I get to see her because it's so cute. She's 3. So if anybody else has a question, please post it here in the group and I'll answer it. Otherwise, we will finish up here. If you would like to unmute and ask a question, then just post that in the chat. Just post unmute me and I'll unmute you so you can ask. Okay, everyone has had their answer. Okay, I'll just see if I've got a private one. Okay. Great. So we've got someone here who's in Martin's mastermind. Perfect. Great reason to reach out. Can you put up the home retreat screen again, please, Tracy? Yes, I can. Let's go back to the home retreat screen so that you can take some notes on that. And I'll also send through, actually what I'll do is I'll put the PowerPoint presentation into a PDF and send that through with the recording. How's that sound? Thumbs up. Beautiful. Okay. All right, everybody. Can I just say thank you so, so much. I'll put it on the last screen. It's not hard to remember my website. It's just my name. Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate you being so, so involved in the chat. It's just wonderful. Love you all so much, and I hope this helps. Have a fantastic day. Thank you.